What is going on, draft sickos? Your boys are back. We're talking blue chip prospects. We're talking penny stocks. We got some rookie ROI. Sell me this pen has returned. All this next. Y'all already know who it is. It's your boys. The Wolves of Ball Street are back. Your favorite draft analyst. I am here with my co-host, Albert. Garbage time, Gim. My name is Corey Tullaba, the Wolf of Ball Street. Albert, how we doing today, brother?
Oh, man, this feels so strange, but also so normal at the same time. We've been doing so much. Corey, we've been potting together a lot.
Yeah.
It's just we haven't been able to do it on our home ground, on our home turf. So feels great to be back. I'm really excited to be potting, Corey. Like, we're going to be talking about a plethora of guys, and it just feels it's weird because, Corey, we're talking a lot and we're doing like specific guys, but like this is going to feel like a more like well-rounded conversation where we're going to talk about a bunch of guys. So I'm hyped, I'm pumped, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, man. We got to start this thing out with a bang, right? This rookie or this freshman draft class has not only like lived up to expectations early on, but I think even possibly exceeded them. So we're going to start out talking about some blue chip prospects, top 5 guys. We can really start in any direction. Is there anybody that you feel like we have to talk about in particular to open this thing up?
I don't. To your point, Corey, they're all so talented, and they've all been really fun to watch. And there's been a lot to watch with them in a lot of different ways. I don't think we specifically have to go with one, but the guy that I had on my mind that for whatever reason I thought we were going to talk about first is a guy that we did a preseason pod on.
Okay.
And a guy that I think is gaining a lot of fans because his name wasn't necessarily in the mix for the top 3 heading into the season, but now it seems like there might be some momentum going towards him maybe entering that conversation, especially in our No Ceilings group chat. Already people have come forward and started to wonder, you specifically, Corey, if this person should be in that conversation for the top 3. So I'm hinting at it, but the guy that I'm thinking of right now, Corey, is Caleb Wilson.
Dude, I cannot say enough good things about Caleb Wilson's game. I mean, I was really excited about him coming into the year. I think a lot of times you can tell who I'm excited about in my work. I did a preseason scouting video for him. We did a preseason breakdown very early in the offseason on him. And it's like when you look at the modern NBA and you see a guy who's 6'10" with a 7+ wingspan, who moves like a guard, who defends like crazy and has really intriguing offensive skills, it gets you excited. And to me, normally with these guys, they tend to be a little raw. And I just didn't see that rawness in Caleb Wilson's game. I saw a questionable jump shot, which I still have questions about, but everything else felt really polished with him. And he's come out of the gate like gangbusters, and he's not just beating up on lower level competition, right? Like yesterday, he had a big game. I mean, there's a sequence, he hit like a Euro step transition dunk, came back on the other end, like got a stop. He like on a dig where he forced somebody into a travel. He made like a hit ahead pass for a transition 3. Then like it was like an offensive board, caught an alley-oop. Like it was just like all in succession of all these things that he's doing. It always feels like he's making an impact on the game. He's been efficient, but then he had a game against Kansas, right? Darryn Peterson, and he took that game so personal, right? He went out, he said, I have a new background that I'm always changing to keep myself motivated. I remember being at the McDonald's All-American game. Darryn didn't get me involved. And that's what I was thinking about leading into that matchup with, in many people's eyes, could be either the number 1, the number 2, or the number 3 prospect in this class. And seeing him attack that game with the ferocity and how personally he took it, it was really, really awesome to see. There's so many, awesome things you could say about this kid's game. And it's actually an interesting note that he made about the McDonald's game, because I was at the McDonald's game and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I see it, because he was invisible, and,
Yeah.
in his mind, it was because Darryn Peterson wasn't sharing the rock.
Yeah, yeah. I think the early season theme that we're seeing right now is clearly he's not an invisible player. To your point, Corey, a guy who is a very influential player, a guy who's looking to make things happen constantly, whether he has the ball in his hands or not on either end of the floor. And I think with him, Corey, the thing that like my brain has been I've been thinking a lot about comps for him because I've seen stuff on the internet, whether it's like I've seen names like Marvin Williams. I think it was Rucker who's interacting with somebody on Twitter about him being compared to like Marvin Williams or
I mean, North Carolina wing.
yeah, right. Um, I've even thought about like a Jonathan Isaac type of
Yep.
thing with him, right? But
Tari
like
Eason.
Tari Eason, but like maybe a little bit better offensively than Isaac. The thing that stuck out with me with Caleb, I second everything that you said, Corey. The effort, the energy, the aggression, the chip on his shoulder that he plays with at all times is great. And something we talked about and we highlighted in his preseason pod, Corey, was his passing.
Yeah.
We really, really liked his passing. And he hasn't been able to like showcase a ton of it, but it's there.
Yeah.
There are some really nice moments where he's been able to show that he is a really good passer. Some of the high-low stuff that they're running with VSAR, like, has been very crisp. And this is early in the season. And I'm thinking like by the time we get to like late winter, early spring, like that combination might be lethal.
Yeah.
And with the ball skills that Wilson is showing with his ability to handle the ball, I think he hit a three off the dribble, not this last game, but the game before. But he's starting to do stuff, right? And the thing that we have to always remind ourselves of, Corey, is that these are really young guys and they're in a new context. And there's going to be this like maturation period, even within his freshman season, that I'm really excited to monitor, because if he's already showing this type of ability with the ball in his hands and to do different things to make things happen, what does this look like as he continues to get stronger, as he continues to get more confident, as he continues to build more of that rapport with his teammates, that chemistry? This could be terrifying. And the tune of this conversation, Corey, might be very different by the time we get to March. Now, of course, this is us projecting, but I mean, this is a very strong and safe bet to take on a guy like this because he plays so hard. He cares so much and he offers so much effort on both ends of the floor, that if you're going to take a bet on a guy to grow and his trajectory to keep going in the right direction, it's going to be someone of that type of character and that type of drive. So just wanted to second everything that you're saying, Corey, but also say that I'm really excited to see what this looks like in a couple months.
Yeah. To me, I have Boozer and Darryn Peterson, who we can talk about next, in a tier. And then I have AJ and Caleb in a tier together. I don't think it's as far apart as people might have thought it was coming into the season. And it's early, right? Of course it is. These guys are going to show more of their game. We're going to peel back the layers. And, AJ is a special player in his own right as an offensive threat. He's a lot more of a sure thing to be a guy who's going to score 20 points per game at the next level. But all of the other things that Caleb offers is really intriguing. And when you go, okay, well, all that stuff's going to get him on the floor. All that stuff is going to be, different skills that impact winning at a high level. Okay, we can give him some time to work on that 3-point shot and getting comfortable and shooting it at volume instead of shooting 1 or 2 a game, because he's very comfortable in the mid range. But he's been off to a blistering start. And I mean, he's put himself in that conversation, at least with AJ.
I think we definitely agree on that, Corey. And maybe this is like a good transition for us out of Caleb, but you mentioned the tiers and you said you've got Boozer and Peterson, and then you got Wilson and AJ. I think that's very fair. And the biggest thing for me is I haven't put this on my board yet, but like as of a couple of days ago, mentally, I've made a shift too. Up until this point, I've been Boozer 1. I just feel like he's such a ridiculous winning player. But just in the last couple of days, Corey, like revisiting the Peterson stuff, and then like changing my frame a little bit and just wondering like, okay, what does this look like on the next level? How does this go up and, kind of trend up or whatever? I've moved Peterson up to 1 on
Wow.
my board.
Okay.
And I know it's like people are going to be like, so early in the year, why did you flip? And it's just like this framing thing in my head, Corey, where I'm like starting to envision Boozer as like a multi-time all-star, like very unbelievable player. But then I'm starting to see Peterson as a guy who could be like top 5 in the league, number 1 guy on his team at all times, 27 points type of guy. And so that there was like a little shift for me, and I had to move Peterson up to 1, just thinking about that.
Interesting. I've been Darryn at 1, for a while, for those same reasons. Like, I just think he could be like the premier number 1 option in the league in his prime in a way that Shea is. Where, if you're going, all right, who's the guy who can like compare to Jokic as far as like impacting his team? I think that's SGA. I think Darryn can get there offensively because as a scorer, it's so effortless. And the way Kansas has been using him, right? Like, a lot of people expected him to be a point guard coming in. I've always viewed him as kind of definitely a lead initiator who's going to do a lot of the handling, but he has much more of a shooting guard's mindset, and he's been playing a lot off the ball early on this season. And that's something I think is going to need to have to shift if Kansas is going to, have like a deep tournament run. I do believe that, but I think ultimately, like, his ability to stay comfortable off the ball shows how seamless his fit is going to be at the next level, even when he does have more on-ball responsibility. And, eventually one of these college teams is going to have to scout that out of bounds play where he's the passer and then he comes in and he's, getting the ball back. It's almost like America's play at the high school level. Because he's getting looks clean off that. He's coming off, pin downs and flares, but he can do so much off the ball too. And he's so quick. He's so smooth. It's really unbelievable. But the gap between him and Boozer for me has always been so narrow. And every time that I look at the board, it makes me uncomfortable to not have Cam at number 1. And Cam he did come out both on our big board and our mock draft as the number 1 guy on the No Ceilings initial big board and mocks. So this is obviously a guy who we are, super high on as well. And I mean, he had like a blistering start with the exhibitions where he was just doing crazy things, Cam. And then, he struggled, a little bit, and people are starting to nitpick him as an offensive player at this moment, which I understand, because to me, the reason that I had Darryn is because I can foresee Darryn being the guy that you go to in the last few minutes of an NBA Finals Game 7 in a way that right now I can't necessarily see that with Cam. And it's not to say that I can't see Cam being the guy who like wins the Finals MVP. It's just, as a self-creator, he's not as advanced right now. It is a lot of straight line drives. I'm going to dip your shoulder. Then I'm going to win it. When I plant in the paint, I'm going to win with like my footwork and my skill. So I get the reservations, but who also has made a pretty good living doing that and won a championship? Like Giannis. Like, I don't know why people think that like teams are just going to be able to stop Cam from getting downhill and being stronger than everybody when he's a pro. And he does so many other things on the court that you look and you're like, oh, he was, he struggled and he was 3 for 12, but he still finished with 15, 13, 4, and 2 and 2. Like, he's still, even on his bad nights, filling up the box score in a ridiculous manner, and not like just filling it up with empty stats. It's all like real legit winning stuff. Kansas versus Duke on Tuesday night. Champions Classic at Madison Square Garden.
Guess who's going to be there?
Oh, I'll be there. I will be there. My goodness, though. I mean, talk about like an all-time matchup. 2 blue chip, blue blood programs with 2 blue chip prospects, like 2 of the highest level prospects that have come through this, prospect cycle in a while, facing off 9 p.m. Eastern time at the Garden under those lights. It's going to be something to witness. Yeah.
And Corey, just to kind of like wrap and follow up on your point about this whole Cam Darryn debate, It's funny, like the way that the internet works is like now that I've made the switch, I'm sure I should be characterized as a Cam Boozer hater, right? As we've done to Tyler Rucker, right? As
Yes.
he's had Boozer at one, so he was a Darryn Peterson hater all this time. I just feel like with Cam, and this is me now singing his praises because to your point, Corey, he just impacts winning. And he has a long history of winning. And then we talked about this on our other pod, but he has a long history of winning with his brother, right?
Yeah.
And then we had a lot of fun in that mock, like, you know, mocking Caden Boozer to the Wizards with Cam and just wondering what's that going to look like for the next 12 years in the NBA, right? Maybe they just keep on winning and win a bunch of titles. I do think that Cameron Boozer is an unbelievable talent. And you mentioned like the Giannis thing, Corey, like the style of play. Obviously, we're not comping them as players like 1-to-1, but to that point, like I think Cam is already projecting to be a better shooter than Giannis as well. And
most
so
certainly.
if you put that into the calculus, it's like this is a terrifying NBA prospect who should have a very long and successful career, obviously with a great lineage as well. You know, from his dad, there's a lot to be excited about. But overall, like that's why we're so blessed right now, Corey, to be doing what we're doing because we get to watch guys like this with Boozer and Peterson, Dybantsa, and Caleb Wilson. We barely even talked about Dybantsa, but
Yeah.
just overall, this like top four, I guess we can call it now, Corey, this top four is an extremely talented group of guys that we think are going to have very successful NBA careers. So what a time to be doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and let's talk about AJ because,
Sure.
you know, AJ does feel a little bit, at least within like the niche draft community, as he's becoming an afterthought. And, you know, right away we've talked about like, oh, is he going to be the fourth guy instead of the third guy? And guys, like this happens. You know, we can hype all these guys up in high school all we want. You know, like Ace Bailey was getting the same conversation coming in. He's, you know, the number 2 guy potentially behind Flag or the number 3. And then ultimately he goes 5, right? So like when things seem certain in November, it doesn't mean that that's going to be the outcome in June. And AJ has as much potential to go 1, right? This is not like, oh, he's most certainly going to, you know, have this thing crumble and he's going to slide. Like he has 100% chance that he has an opportunity to rise up the boards as well. So what I've seen from him is still a lot of the same that I saw in high school, in that he is a devastating downhill threat. I mean, some of the gathers, the hop steps, the explosiveness, the creativity. I mean, it's stuff that like is just never going to be teachable for a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. He has this innate, and at his size specifically, right, where he's going to be 6'8", 6'9", strong as a bull.
Yeah.
It's so impressive, you know, and he's almost like, I wonder if he's eliminating a lot of the outside shots or the mid-range shots. Mm-hmm. And instead of taking those, he's more, you know, I guess inclined to force himself to get downhill. Mm-hmm. You know, he's shooting threes. Maybe he needs to, you know, shoot them at a little bit of a higher clip, but he's been so just like devastating downhill, drawing contact, getting to the free throw line. And he's been doing such a great job at it. My question is still, and you know, it's not like I expected it to change 3 or 4 games into his college career. It's what I'm going to be looking for as we go forward with this draft cycle. Is my question is going to be, can he leverage that scoring in the same way that I think Darryn and Cam do to make his teammates better? Because he creates so many like defensive rotations where guys are collapsing in on him in the paint that he's going to have opportunities to kick to shooters. And it's not that he's done a bad job of it. It's, can he do a better job of it? Because if he needs to be, in my eyes, like Tracy McGrady was a name that was thrown around with him a lot. And even by myself, you know, when we were at the Nike Hoop Summit in the practices, I think I turned to you and I was like, I think that might be T-Mac. Yeah. And this is when he was a junior.
Yep.
In high school. Because that's what it looked like as far as how natural and how gifted he is. But like T-Mac developed into an unbelievable playmaker too. Mm-hmm. And if T-Mac was playing in this era, you know, he's a guy that like you just give the ball to, and maybe he's like got the kind of usage and playmaking responsibilities that a guy like Cade Cunningham has, right? So I think that's what I want to see from him. And if he could do that, I mean, my goodness, like he's got all the potential in the world.
No, I agree, Corey. I mean, this could be and here's the thing that I think is really important. Just because we have AJ at this point now doesn't mean that we're putting an indictment on his future and his career.
Yeah.
This is us saying we would like to see him improve on these things. To your point, Corey, if AJ hits his ceiling, he could be a 27-8-8 guy, like straight up. Like there is a real possibility that he becomes that type of absolute monster, right? And also, Corey, what's really important too, and because everyone's track is different and journey's different, he could end up going 5th in this class, right? I'm not saying he will,
right?
Just putting this out there. Maybe he does go 5th like Ace Bailey does. That doesn't mean he won't be the number 1 player in his class by the time everything's all said and done, right? And the point that I'm trying to make, Corey, is that I think sometimes people overreact to big boards and mock drafts, and they think that we're putting these definitive statements on these guys in terms of their whole careers. We're huge fans of AJ. And to your point, Corey, we've seen him in person since he was like a junior, right? And the thing that I'll never forget about that first Hoop Summit that we saw him at was that he was an absolute rabid dog the whole week. He competed through every drill, every scrimmage, every practice, and through the game, he was locked in. And my thing is, I don't believe that guy is gone. I think that guy's still in there. And so I have no desire to doubt AJ Dybantsa, the type of player he's going to be. All we can do right now is judge them based off of what they're showing us right now. Obviously, putting pedigree in mind and also the future in mind, we try to make our best guess and try to rank these guys to the best of our abilities. But with AJ, Corey, specifically, watching his film so far this season, I totally agree. Like him getting downhill and him being physical when he gets to the rim has been great to see. I do feel like there are moments where I wish he was a little bit more decisive. I feel like at times he'll get too caught up in wanting to, I don't know, rock the ball side to side and do different things. But when he's being decisive and making quick decisions, he looks great. I mean, he looks fantastic. And so that's like one of the nitpicky things for me where I'm like, hey, man, like if you just play like this all the time, you're going to be phenomenal. And then once again, you'll be knocking on the door for the number 1 pick. And so I really hope our listeners, you guys understand the point that we're trying to make here with AJ. He could very much go number 1 in this class, depending on how this season goes. But at this point in the season, there are certain things that we wish he would tweak for him to potentially even get there.
Yeah. And that's, again, those tweaks take him from star to superstar.
Yep.
Right. Like, because he is a really competitive defender, and he's got things to maybe work out off the ball at times, but like on the ball, he really competes. And no doubt there's a team that might be, looking at him as like, oh yeah, he's number 1 on our board and we're going to take him there in June for sure. All right. Coming up next, Albert and I are going to break down some penny stocks. All right. Time for penny stocks. And this is where we're going to talk about sleepers. Guys who have impressed us early on in this cycle, very early in the college season, but guys that maybe are worth monitoring going forward. The guy that I chose was not on our board. So, but I'm interested to know, who is your opening week penny stock?
All right, Corey. So unfortunately, I didn't really like. So when you gave me this assignment, instead of putting 1 name, I did 5. Okay. But I'm not going to read all 5. I'm not going to read all 5. I do want to read 2 though. Or maybe 3. Maybe 3 in passing. I'm not sure.
Let's do it.
Okay. First guy, and this is a guy that I've never talked about because I've wanted to protect my bias. I've wanted to not seem like a partial party or whatever. So he hasn't had the hottest start to the season. Okay. He's taken the step up now to high major, right? After playing at Princeton. A guy that, Corey, you've liked for years. Yeah. But the reason why he's a penny stock for me right now is because of the start to the season that he's had, right? In his last game, he went 1 for 10 from 3. And I watched that game and I watched every shot he took. And this is why I wanted to bring him up here, because I know that Xaivian Lee, for the University of Florida, has not had the blazing hot start that a lot of people were hoping for, right? With him being in the starting backcourt with Boogie Flan. The thing that I'm going to ask for my Korean brother here is that you give him a little bit of time, because I do believe when I look at the quality of shots that he's taking, the aggression that he still has when he's attacking the rim, and the creativity that he's trying to provide with his passing, I still think he's going to have a very successful season. I think right now there's a bit of an adjustment period. I think this level is a little bit faster than what he played at on the Ivy level. They're different lengths, sizes of these defenders, and speed. It's all kind of hitting him right now, but I don't believe the process of what he's doing on the floor is bad. He still looks to me like a guy who belongs on the floor, and I think the coaching staff believes that as well. And in that last game when he went 1 for 10, I had a problem with maybe like 2 of the shots he took out of the 11 shots, and everything else he was really close. And my thing is, like, if he hits 3 or 4 of those that he missed, we'd have a very different vibe about how he's doing. But the first guy that I wanted to throw out there was Xaivian Lee, because once again, I've never really talked about him because he's a Korean dude. And guess what? I'm a Korean dude, and I wanted to kind of stay away for as long as possible. But I've kind of liked what I've seen from him at Florida, and I don't want people to panic and for them to go off of this early small sample size and be like, oh, he doesn't belong. Meanwhile, like, after watching his actual games, I'm like, I think he does. I think he just needs a little bit more time.
Yeah, even in like the Arizona game where he struggled to put the ball. I mean, he did hit a couple of big shots in the second half that got them going. But, he was a little inefficient in that game too, but he was still doing stuff.
Yeah.
He was getting into the paint. He was like, he had some really slick dump off passes, like jump pass, midair, like wrap around, because he's still like a really quick athlete who, can get paint touches and is going to draw help. And he's unselfish. The shots have to drop. And like you said, it's a small sample size, and he could be streaky. Like, that has been, I think a problem for him is that streakiness. So ultimately that's something that he's going to have to iron out. But I don't know. Like, I went to see him at Princeton when he was a sophomore, and I just left happy because watching him, there's like this infectious energy that he brings. And I think, look, this is also an adjustment for that Florida team in general.
Right.
Not just Xaivian. The entire backcourt is different. We have 3 Gators in that backcourt who are at the NBA level now.
Yeah.
Right. Like, Will Richard is making a real impact. Walter Clayton, we know what he was capable of. So these guys are all learning to play with each other. Alex Condon has struggled a little bit. Yes. Thomas Haug has looked fantastic. And he's somebody who, if the season ended today, I think, has a real argument to be a lottery pick.
Yes. But,
with the way that college basketball is now, and there's transfers and everything, like, we need to give these guys a little bit of time to figure it out, get comfortable playing with each other, let Boogie and Xaivian, figure out that synergy. Yeah. And I think they're going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Corey, really quickly, I feel like, and another thing to that last point, I feel like him and Boogie like playing together. Like, if you watch the actual games and you see their chemistry on the floor, you can tell these guys are getting along, and that this chemistry is just going to grow. And both guys are supremely talented guards. And so as this continues to grow throughout the season, I'm really interested. Can I give you 2 more really quick?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to hear it.
A guy that I saw in person a bunch last season at UCLA, and I'm just intrigued because I really, even when I saw him last year, I'm like, okay, like, he's a junior, he's doing some stuff, he's leading them in score. Tyler Bilodeau for UCLA, I'm like, hey, like, the jumper looks so pure, and he's so comfortable, like, shooting and scoring the ball from literally every single level. And I'm just like, I don't think he'll be an NBA star or anything, guys. Like, but I'm like, man, you could be a rotation player, dude. Yeah. Kind of where my head is at.
Could he be like Jake LaRavia?
Maybe that's a great comp, Corey. Or, like, I just feel like, or maybe even like, God, this is so me. Maybe he's like a Ersan Ilyasova, right? Day, but like, these guys with the size that they have and the shooting ability, like, they tend to find spots in the NBA. And with Bilodeau, like, there's this like incredible touch that he's got for a guy his size. And every time I watch him, I'm just like, oh, like, every time he takes a shot, I just think it's going in. And last night against Arizona, he put up a really strong game. Obviously, they lost in a really close one, but I thought he looked really good on the floor, and I just think he's a really intriguing prospect.
Yeah, he really popped to me. Last year, Nathan Grubel and I went to see UCLA, and he was to me the standout. And that last year was a weird roster.
Yes, very weird roster.
Weird roster. But he was the guy that you were like, well, if somebody doesn't look weird on this court, it's Tyler Bilodeau. I like that call out. That's a good one.
Okay, last one for me. I'll be quick. It feels like he's really grown into his body. And I think he's really developing well, and he's on a really good Illinois squad, but I'm excited to keep watching how this goes as he finds his role. But Andrei Stojakovic has really stuck out to me, Corey. And I know like his numbers might not like jump off the page to anybody, but there are subtle things with his game that I think he's improved upon that I think he deserves a lot of credit for. He's now in year 3 of college basketball, but I think he's really grown into his frame. And there's a physicality that he plays with now. Yeah, he's very tough. And like, I don't like to do this comp, but there are like little hints of his dad. With the way that he's willing to like, be physical in the mid range and take like contested shots there, but like he's getting downhill now and getting physical there. He's playing with more force, and the fact that he's getting paint touches too, as I've been really happy with. And like he hasn't even taken a ton of threes yet. I just feel like he's grown a ton throughout his time in college. And if you think about his dad and the career that his dad had, and his dad didn't come over as like a young kid either, right? From what I remember. I think Andrei Stojakovic is a name to watch because he's a guy that might end up having a very full season for Illinois is kind of how I'm feeling.
And I mean, I didn't even know what direction you were going to take this one because David Mirkovic.
Yeah. Oh God.
Has been a monster. And I remember, we were like, all right, kind of like a plotting, like undersized power forward kind of guy, maybe not super undersized. But the thing that stood out when we saw him with Team World at Hoop Summit last April was how strong he was. And when it came time for the game, it was like, all right, if anybody's going to be able to like bang down low with Cam Boozer, like Mirkovic did a pretty good job, right? So, and he's had some monster games early on. So that Illinois team they got some guys that are going to make things interesting for sure.
But those are the guys for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the guy that I've really enjoyed early on, and this is a guy who like, within the draft community has had, is definitely, I don't know if I would say had hype, but he's had some moments in some international competitions. Mario Saint-Supery at Gonzaga this year. This is a guy who has gone through, the Spanish development system, had some big moments in FIBA, but I have loved what I've seen from him for Gonzaga this year. He is another guy who I think is like, you look at him and like, he's strong. He looks long. I think he's tough. Like he plays hard. He dives on the floor for loose balls. Like defensively, makes really smart rotations. He absorbs contact, will take it in the chest. But then offensively, it's like this guard who can play on or off the ball and plays with really good pace, makes really good playmaking reads, and then can get downhill, score, finish with both hands. I think he's going to be a guy that ends up in my first round. Like I think that kid can really hoop. And he was the guy for this that I was like, I feel like we need to give this dude a little bit of love.
Wow. I mean, Corey, I haven't watched too much of him, but I did see your tweet on him. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't remember.
A couple of days ago. But obviously, he's gaining some buzz. A guy that played really well for the U18s, right, for Spain. I'm excited to see more. I just haven't seen a lot of him yet. And I'll give one more shout out.
Okay.
For a kid, freshman guard from Providence, Stefan Vox. This kid is a lot of fun.
Oh, is that the okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a kid that is get a little bit of like, oh, he looks a little like Luka-ish.
Yeah.
Like, but the kid could hoop, man. Like he could shoot it. Some of the ancillary numbers, it's like he's been inconsistent as like a playmaker, but he's capable of making some really interesting reads. He is a penny stock that I think, like, if you were trying to like make some money on a penny stock and an investment, maybe he's the guy. Like, you look, down the line, you're like, this is a guy. He's fun.
Hot start to the season so far for him.
Yeah.
I'm looking at his stats right now through 4 games, 15.3 points, 2 rebounds, 1.8 assists. Shooting splits look good too. 43 from the field, 37.9 from 3, 82.4% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
We like those.
We like those. Yeah. It's early, but we're having some fun. All right. When we come back, it's everyone's favorite segment. It's time. Sell me this pen. All right, Albert. For the folks who have, been around for this segment, we're changing it up a little bit. Usually we do it at the end of the show as, covering the guy, on the guy that we're covering for that show. But we're going to switch it up a little bit, turn it into remix it to a new segment. So Sell Me This Pen Now is going to be a player that we're struggling with, a prospect that we need help on. And it's going to kind of be up to, hopefully the other host kind of be able to make the sell for him as a prospect. So, Albert, I need you to sell me the pen on JT Toppin.
Oh, God. Okay. Wow. I'm so excited for this segment for us because the guy that I have too, Corey, I have no idea how you're going to sell me on him. So,
all right.
Okay. I'll give it to you as simply as I possibly can with JT Toppin, because I do wonder, because Corey, was it you or was it Rucker? But somebody was like, I talked to an NBA exec, and what they said to me was, if you can't explain a guy in a sentence or less, then I don't want him. It was something like that.
I think it was Ignacio.
Ignacio. Okay.
Yeah.
So my Sell Me This Pen for JT Toppin will be very simple, Corey. Okay. JT Toppin is a wildly productive college basketball player who has translatable skills to the NBA as a strong role player. And that is enough to take him. This is too many words. That makes him worthy of a top 60 pick, is how I want to view this with JT Toppin. I think that's as simple as it gets, Corey, because well, maybe, Corey, if you can divulge and share with us some of your concerns, because I'm not super high on Toppin either, but I do feel like the production is something that we talk a lot about, Corey, where it's like, if somebody is that productive in college, how do we ignore that? And also, how do we quantify that too? Because that doesn't always mean that they're going to be successful on the next level, but it should mean and count for something. And so if you can share with us, Corey, a little bit of your concerns.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why like quantitative analysis should go hand in hand with qualitative analysis, right? Like you need to watch and see what you're watching, and then you need to look at the numbers, because his numbers are overwhelming. Like, I mean, he's averaging like over 30 points a game. It's only been a couple of games in the season, but he's like a monster rebounder. He's always getting buckets. And you just go, well, how could you ignore somebody who's like dominating guys? There's a reason that, he got the reported NIL number that he got, because he's just so impactful as a college player. My concerns lie in that, what does it look like, I guess, in a scaled down role, which is maybe not even my concern. But like, he's not like as tall as you want your front court guy to be. He's not really a true center, but his game resembles that of a true center. He's not like an outlandish, like defensive prospect who's like blocking shots. He doesn't stretch the floor. He's not like a like knockdown free throw shooter. And he's not a guy who right now you look at and you go, all right, well, maybe he's like Domantas Sabonis because he can really play make. And, as he's getting downhill and facing up, and he's going to be able to spray the ball out, and maybe he develops that, and that's where like the ultimate like starter upside lie. But my struggle is that I don't know how to deal with the fact that he's so productive. And when he's an awesome NBA player, we all just go, well, of course he's an awesome NBA player. Of course, look at what he did in college. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as my struggles, where it's like,
Sure.
well, should we take him in the top 20? Or is he like, do you get him in the, beginning of the second round? Or like, I just don't know where to place him right now. I've seen him in person. Like, I don't know. I'm struggling.
You might hate this one, Corey, because I've used this one before, but this one, like, it's not a 1-for-1 comp thing. Career trajectory wise, he might just be Kurt Thomas, where he has a very long NBA career and being like productive in his role, but never a star, never even like your third or fourth best player, just a guy who gives you solid minutes, banging the boards, being a good team defender. I mean, like, okay, what is JT Toppin's best skill if you had to pick one?
I guess like interior scoring, like as a play finisher.
Yeah, mine was even more simple, Corey. I think my favorite skill of his is like that he catches the ball well.
Yeah.
Because
I was maybe catching oops.
So I get it, Corey. Like, I totally understand your concerns. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that, I mean, he may not even be like a career starter, right? Just a guy like a career
could be
backup.
Brandon Clark.
That's a good one too. That's a good one too. But there, and also, Corey, I don't know if this plays into your evaluation with him. There is an aesthetic thing with him that is weird too. Like, he's very like gangly. Like, he doesn't look super coordinated when he moves.
It's like a little stiff.
Yeah, it's a little stiff, but also a little clunky. So it's like, I don't really enjoy watching this. But then when I look at the box score, it's like 25, 12, and 3. So it's like, that's pretty good. Yeah. I don't know if I sold this pen to you, Corey, but I think my main point with him is like, if you get a guy who can give you solid 18 minutes a night, who's going to rebound the hell out of the ball and finish everything around the rim, it's not the worst guy to take like in the second round, is kind of where my head is at.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm definitely not less confused. He's going to be a guy, just, I need to focus on wrapping my head around as to am I overthinking this? Or are my constructive criticisms legitimate? That's what I'm going to need to struggle with.
Okay. You ready for mine?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of conversation about this player on the internet. He's got big fans in like the analytics community. I, till this point, refuse to be a fan. I refuse to entertain the fact that he's even a top 60 prospect. I have him like 80 something on my board right now because I don't want to ignore what I've seen in person. For 2 years at UCLA, I would go to the games. I'd be there early, Corey. When I go to UCLA games, I'm there 2 hours early. I'm there when no one's barely in the gym. I'm watching the play. I'm there before the players. Like, I see the players walk in street clothes. I see them walking across the court into the locker room. I see it all. Okay. And this one guy, Aday Mara, I hope I'm saying his name right. I've seen him in warmups, Corey, just struggle to catch the ball, missing wide open hooks left and right, getting bodied by grad school assistants, working on half court hook shots, and here's something that we've heard before too, Corey. It's important to practice real game things. It's important to practice things that you'll be doing in game, in the NBA, blah, blah, blah. There were so many things about him that I saw in person over 2 years that I hated. However, he's now in year 3. He's in a new context now. He's in Michigan.
Yes.
He's had a pretty decent start to the season, right? And I understand that he's got fans across the country because he's a giant who does have some skill.
He's so big.
He's so big, can pass the ball. It's difficult to shoot over him just because he's like a light pole. It's hard. I get it. But for me, I need you to sell me on Aday Mara because I am really struggling with him even now. And maybe it's a stubbornness on my end too, from what I've seen, but I'm having a hard time.
I completely get it. I saw a lot of the same things, in the warmups, when I saw him last year. And I remember going through some Bartorovic stuff, looking at stats in the offseason, and I put it in the No Ceilings group chat. I said, the stat people are going to have Aday Mara top 10 coming into the year. Because if you look at the production that he was putting up in those limited minutes, it was, from an advanced stat perspective, it was like outrageous. And he finished the season to where it was like, this is not real. Like these numbers from it, like his BPM was like 18 over his last 10 games or something, right? His block percentage is ridiculous because he's 7'3" and he looks every bit of it. He can pass the ball. So, he's got good assist percentage. And I was like, but I've seen it over the last 2 years too. And this was a guy who had top 5 projections when he was a freshman, because he had really shown some stuff overseas before he came over to play college. I am not nearly as out as you. I think that I would give him, because he's getting an opportunity here. It seems like he's going to be getting at least 20 minutes per game, where he'll be on the court this year. And in that, he'll have production. And I remember when I saw him last year with Nathan, I went, I don't care what kind of numbers he puts up. He's so big with like the pedigree of the requisite skill that if he went out last year, he would have got drafted in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that, and I haven't done like any kind of formula or anything concrete. I think there is an over index on big men within the stat community because, and it's hard because I think when you're a pure 5 and you're a one position player, like he's not playing as the 4 in a dual big lineup. He doesn't move that way. Right. It limits like just how often you can be on the court. Right. Like there are only a certain amount of starting spots or only a certain amount of backup spots. And those backup spots are maybe going to guys who are a little more, versatile or, whatever. Like, so there's less opportunity. There's less spots that you can actually grab as a player. Now, granted, he's so big, he's going to keep getting chances. We saw Rocco Zakarsky get drafted, taken by the Wolves last year. And I think he's a way better prospect than Rocco Zakarsky was. I'm interested. I think he's seeing the opportunity he's getting. And it's a weird front court because you have Merez Johnson, you have Yaxel Lendeborg, and none of these guys fit super seamlessly. Yeah. But May is a really good coach, and he puts these guys in really interesting positions to play to their strengths and do like have some creative freedom. I think he is right now, I'm being very patient with him. I'm away from the top 10 stuff that a lot of the stat community has him. I do have him as a first round guy right now. And ultimately just because I see that he's playing. But there, I think, are real reservations because, you can maybe look at him and be like, oh, Zach Edey has been better than people thought. Donovan Clingan has been incredible. But I think both of those guys move better defensively.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're more fluid in my eyes. And, like, that was a knock on Edey by a lot of people, which I think was lazy. I think it was just like, oh, lumbering guy, like this isn't going to work in the NBA. But I think like those concerns are kind of legit with Mara. Yeah. So he's a very wait and see. I don't feel the need to go all in. Like, even if he's drafted, Young Hansen, another guy last year drafted very high. Like there's definitely a value to these kinds of players who like are intriguing passers with good feel, who can protect the rim. So even if Mara ends up in the NBA being a 15 to 20 minute per game guy who plays a heavy drop, protects the rim due to his just outlandish size, is able to keep the offense humming and hopefully finishes really efficiently at the rim, then that's a guy who's going to bring value. It's just how much value can he bring based on how many minutes can he play? And a lot of that to me is going to be questions on like how effective he is strategically in that drop where it's like, oh, you're just way bigger than these guys in college, so they're struggling. Or are you playing that cat and mouse game the right way? And that's going to translate to the NBA level as well, is kind of where my concerns lie with him. But to sell you this pen on Aday Mara, 7'3" human being, incredibly rare archetype, incredible shot blocker due to his size, going to intimidate guys at the rim, big man with great passing feel, who has some skill as a scorer within 5 feet of the basket.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I do want to mention, like, we both talked about the passing thing. Like, man, he can he could do like live dribble stuff even sometimes, and like both hands. I'm just like,
yeah, and he could see over everybody because his head's in the clouds.
That helps. That helps. Good for him.
I'd imagine.
Yeah, I feel better, Corey. Also, I think it's important to note Elliot Cadeau is the best guard he's ever played with on the college level, and Cadeau's putting him in good positions to get easy buckets and stuff like that. So, okay, I'm more open to the idea. I think you just pushed him into the 70s for me.
Okay,
is where we're at.
Then I did my job a little bit. All right, coming up, we're going to end the show. A little NBA talk. That's coming up next. All right, it's time for some rookie ROI. And today we're going to cover Cedric Coward of the Memphis Grizzlies, who has been, I think, inarguably a top 3 rookie in this class. If you hear his story, if you're not familiar by now as a kid, Division III to Division I, last year only played 6 games, and then has this unbelievable pre-draft process where he had committed to Duke, transferring there, and then it was up in the air whether or not he was going to stay, and then he stayed and was a lottery pick. So this unbelievable trajectory. And he was a guy that we've known about for a while. We've been monitoring for a while. Maxwell wrote about him for No Stone Unturned a couple of years ago. And then you and I actually got a chance to see him a little bit in LA during the pre-draft cycle. And I remember shaking his hand and just going, oh my God, he has mitts. These are the biggest hands that I've ever shaken hands with. And then you looked at his frame, you saw how wide his shoulders were, how long he was. And you were just like, yeah, this kid's got it. So do you remember where he was at on your board last year?
Oh, I think for my last board, I might have had him at like 16 or 12, or I can't remember, honestly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had him at 10.
Okay.
Ending the year. And he wasn't on my board for a lot of the year because I was like, well, he played 6 games and like he transferred to Duke. He's probably just going to go play with Boozer, win a national title, and then go be a lottery pick. And then turns out he didn't need any of that. And man, he has been unbelievable to start the year, like almost to the point where it's like, even if you were high on him, like you weren't high enough is where I'm at with him. Yeah. What have you seen this year from him? And has it surprised you?
Okay, so Corey, we both saw him in LA when we went to Kobe Brea's workout and Yegor Diomin. I also got to see him at his pro day at the Lakers facility for Life Sports Agency. Shouts to them. They're great partners. They've been very kind to us. Seeing him there. So the way that workout went, it was like Elijah Martin, Nick Clifford, John Blackwell, a lot of those guys, they were like in their own group. I think, and then there was a bigger group with like John Blackwell and other guys, and then a smaller group with Neek, Elijah Martin, and Ryan Nembhard. And then the last part of the workout was just Cedric Coward by himself. He came out super late, but that was all intentional. They were keeping him in a side gym working by himself.
He was recovering from that injury still.
Correct. He was still recovering, but he came out and it was really cool. Like, I don't know, like when he came out, it was like all eyes on him, all the NBA execs in the gym, just eyes on him. And he walks in and then he starts taking free throws. He starts going through his thing and he starts shooting from outside and he was like hitting everything. And I was like standing next to him and I'm just like, you're huge. Like you're every bit 6'6". Your arms are crazy. Your hands are huge. And I'm just like, you've got incredible physical gifts and talents, but then also you're here shooting the cover off the ball and you're not even like 100% healthy right now. And I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. And to watch him so far early on in this NBA season for a Memphis team that is going through some stuff, Corey.
Yeah, I've heard.
They've got some stuff going on. They're trying to figure things out with their coach. I mean, Jaren Jackson's playing, John Morant's playing. They're all playing, but it hasn't been the smoothest, right? But in the minutes that I've seen from Cedric Coward, this guy, man, like I want to highlight, obviously, me being a Knicks fan, watching him play the Knicks the other night. There was this one play where Miles McBride, Deuce McBride, is making a drive from the right wing to the basket, and his man's like bodying him up, but out of nowhere, Cedric Coward comes to help, and he was like a condor, just like the height that he got with the length of his arms and his giant mitts, just absolutely volleyball spiked the ball. And I'm like, what is your what is your ceiling, bud?
Yeah.
What does this become? How high can we dream? Where if we don't dream big enough, Tyler Rucker will tweet us on Twitter and say, "Dream bigger." Because I'm starting to wonder if there's like a Kawhi Leonard outcome for this guy.
Yeah.
Not saying that that'll happen, but I think it's on the cards now. The ability that he has on both ends of the floor, and he's playing at such a confident, a competent level as a I almost said freshman, as a rookie for this Memphis Grizzlies team. It's been phenomenal to watch Corey, and he's so impactful on both ends of the floor. And it's a situation where when he's catching and shooting from outside, my brain is like, that's going in. It's going. And he's currently shooting 37.5% from three. He's taken, let's see, I want to make sure I get these numbers right. He's taken 4 attempts per game right now. Pretty good clip. And then how about this one? Free throw percentage, 89.6%.
Yeah.
We happen to like guys like that, Corey. And so my thing with him is so far, I don't think his rookie season, the start to his rookie season, could go any better. He's really highlighting his abilities on both ends of the floor. And if this is what he's going to do as a rookie, what the hell are we talking about in a couple of years is kind of where I'm kind of what I'm feeling right now.
No, I mean, because his skill set allows him to be such a versatile player in any kind of lineup, because you're seeing what he looks like in a role where he doesn't have to carry the load, right? And that'll be a question for him as he develops. But like ultimately, he's going to get reps on the court to get opportunities to show more, because he is so competent in excelling at being a star in his role. And, you talk about the shooting, those numbers, fantastic. And it's like, he's not just standing in the corner, he's doing a little off movement, not like, Kyle Korver, JJ Redick kind of actions, but like, he's still like shooting off movement, flares, pin down, whatever. He's doing it in transition. He's showing a little creativity in transition where he's getting to like some step back stuff that looks super confident. His shot prep is unbelievable. He's always shot ready, right? So if you're always shot ready, when that ball comes to you, you don't have to think, you don't have to hesitate. And that's allowing him to kind of close out. And then you're seeing some of the touch, when he's attacking those closeouts, you're seeing him in his ability to use that length with extension finishes to finish at the rim. He's making smart passes. He's not going to compete with Ja Morant as like the point guard on the team, but you see the sharp decision-making. I mean, and you look at just like what he could become because of who he is now, you do start thinking of those high-end outcome names, because what he does is impactful to winning basketball games. And I mean, who knows what direction this Grizzlies team decides to go. Do they keep John, try to work it out? If they do, then he could be like a wing sidekick that could be, taking over that Desmond Bane role, which is something that, they're going to need as from the perimeter as a shooter, because I think he's got more juice than Jalen Wells does. And if they move on, then you have Cedric Coward, Zach Edey, Jalen Wells, and Jaren Jackson as your core building blocks. And that's really interesting too. And if that's the way you go, then now you start thinking of like, all right, well, it might happen quicker. And I think he's going to be ready for it, because there is a maturity to him as a person, as well as to his game. And as, like you said, the two-way impact, because of his giant hands, his crazy length, when we've seen guys like that, you mentioned Kawhi, Jalen Williams, was another guy, mid-major, that crazy wingspan. And Jalen in college was more creative as a handler and as a passer. Yeah. But we've seen like the rope that these guys get to develop and how quick it could happen. And I think Cedric might get there in that same kind of time frame.
Yeah, Corey. I mean, obviously, to your point, this Ja situation is, we don't know. It could get explosive here. We don't know how this is going to turn out. It also might turn out well, right? Where they figure things out,
Yeah.
and maybe it's just an early season blip on the radar where, they had to work some things out and everything gets a lot cleaner from here. But to your point, like, let's say they do decide to trade Ja Morant, right? We also have to consider what they end up getting back for him, right? Maybe
Yeah.
they end up getting someone who really fits in with this roster and the timeline and all that stuff. And then I don't know, maybe there's some sort of synergy that happens from that, and then they end up with a good draft. I don't know. Anyway, the main thing that I wanted to say with Cedric Howard is that it's been really impressive to see him playing at this high level, but also not very surprising. From what we saw in person and what we saw on film, Corey, this was all on the cards, and why draft Twitter was so in love with him, and a lot of our guys were really in love with him and super high on him, and this is not time to take a victory lap and be like, oh, look, we're all right. But I'm just more excited to see what this looks like,
Yeah.
how his journey goes. And my biggest thing with him is I have this weird thing about, like, when things are going really well, I'm always worried about, like, the other shoe
Mhm.
falling. And I just hope he stays healthy. That's my
Yeah.
biggest thing. I really want him to stay healthy. I hope he continues to develop well on this Memphis Grizzly team, and and I think it's because he's on this team, and this team has had such bad injury luck. And they're still waiting on Edie to get back, and you never know with Jaren Jackson and Ja and all this stuff. So I hope he stays healthy, but the skill and the ability that he has is frightening. It's absolutely
Yeah.
frightening.
And, you love to see it from a guy who is an older prospect too, right? Like, not this 5-star freshman. He had this, really awesome journey filled with adversity that I think shapes a mentality that you have. And I think it's helped him become the kind of player he has. He's always been super self-aware based on, what we've heard. Uh, and I think that drives you to be the best player you could be when you come from that kind of situation, because you can appreciate it. You could be like, dude, I was in a D3 gym playing just a few years ago, and now I'm a positive contributor as a rookie in the NBA. So I don't think it's out of the question that he becomes a really special player. And I think it's likely, to be perfectly honest, because he has the tools, he has the measurables, he's got the skill set. This is a kid who looks like he has it all. Like you said, let's just pray for that health.
Yeah. Yeah. And Corey, can we do this? Can we do some, like, really quick hits
Yeah,
for Rookie
sure.
ROI before we go? Because
Of
there are a
course.
couple of guys that I want to run by you, because I know you're going to have a lot to say. Okay.
Okay.
The two Charlotte guys
Yeah.
that I'm thinking, and it could be more than two, because
Yeah.
I think Sion James has been playing well for them too. Knueppel, Ryan Kalkbrenner. With Con, there's something that I wanted to highlight, because this really, like, I don't know. Anyway, I think he's playing like a very mature game. Obviously, he had the big game the other night in the NBA Cup game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Something that I saw on film that got me really excited, that I wanted to highlight, is they didn't do a ton of this early on in the season, but in this last game against Milwaukee, especially down the stretch, they started using Khan as a screener a little bit for LaMelo, and it opened up some really nice looks for Khan as, like, this little, like, kind of picking and popping and stuff like that. And I'm like, I really enjoy Khan's game because he has no ego and he can do so much. And then also the fact that, like, when he turns the corner, he's just going to get downhill. And then when he plays off too, like, he's so intelligent and nuanced about what he does with that. Anyway, really fun to watch, Khan. And then Ryan Kalkbrenner, I mean, he just looks like he's just doing what he was doing in college, and he just brought it to the NBA level. Some of the stats I wanted to highlight: he's 2.4 blocks per game, but then block percentage 8%, just doing a really great job of
High
protecting the
level.
rim. And then also, he's like on a historic run. He's like shooting 80% from the field. I think 80% is pretty good. Like, imagine you were batting like 800 in baseball. That happens to be incredible. But I wanted to highlight those two guys, and I wanted to kind of get your thoughts too.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this draft for them being like the culture draft. Like, get the guys who are going to set the tone for the type of team you want to become. And grabbing Khan early, I mean, to us, it seemed like a no-brainer, because we saw how skilled he was, how valuable he was as a shooter, his feel as a passer. And not only, I think, when you see him being a screener, what it opens up, like when he gets the ball in the short roll, like his ability to spray the ball out and make those quick decisions is really, really intriguing too. But I mean, he's been awesome. What can you say? Already 30 balls, like, as a shooter. Like, I think that people saw him and they're like, all right, he can't really jump over a piece of paper. He's not the quickest guy. What is this going to look like? And I think what we continue to see, and I think both of these guys are a testament to that, is that, like, basketball feel is something that, like, along with strength, because Khan was always strength. He was always strong, in the pre-draft cycle last year, like in the preseason, I think you called him farm strong when we were watching his AAU tape, or tractor strong. It was something like, like Midwest kid from a farm. But his ability to play a high feel game along with that strength and his skill, obviously, has allowed him to make a seamless transition. And I don't know, like, is he Charlotte's best player long term? I mean, that's not out of the question at all, right?
Yep.
And, like, LaMelo's, he's got injury stuff always. Brandon Miller's been an early career injury guy too. Khan looks, he looks like the goods. And then, like you said, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and this is a guy I've seen him so many times in person over the years, being a Big East guy, having him be at Creighton. And I really came around on him last year because I thought he was making, like, quicker decisions as a ball mover. He started shooting it a little bit more from three, which I never expected to be, like, a major part of his game. And then I think he opened the year on, like, a 10-game run where he, like, just didn't miss shots at the rim. So it was, like, the same exact thing he's doing right now at the NBA level. So it's, like, not completely shocking. And then, like, we always knew he was a great defender. I think he won Big East Defensive Player of the Year 4 times in his career. So, like, it's not it was shocking that he went in the second round. Even if it was early, it was like, well, okay, I get, like, being a little bit lower, not necessarily wanting to take an older guy in the lottery, because sometimes, if those guys don't show out right away, it's almost like red flag, because it's like, you were supposed to be ready for this. You're a little bit older. So that's why teams tend to, like, lean on the potential of the young guy, because they have a higher, like, growth plate or larger growth plate. But he should have been a first rounder. He was so good, and he's been so good. And, you have multiple positions locked down for the future as impact guys, and not just fun, flashy, like, real deal, like, lead to winning basketball. Charlotte, if anything else, whatever wins come this year, don't come, we know that they're going to be setting the foundation, and they're going to be fun to watch.
Yep. And just following up on that, like, guys like Sion James and Liam McNeely, like, Sion James is playing for them. McNeely, not yet, but a guy I still very much believe in. I think will be a very good NBA player. 2 more guys I wanted to hit on really quickly, Corey. I know we're going a little bit long. First one, Cooper Flagg. So, friend of the program, our bud, Kyle Mann, he had a great tweet, I think it was last night, and he was like, Flagg, Peterson, and Dybantsa are all about 2 months apart, and Boozer is only 6 months younger than them. And so he was saying how, like, if Cooper Flagg was in college basketball right now, he'd be putting up like 30 a game. Obviously, he was kidding, right? I don't think he actually believes he'd be putting up 30 a game. But the point being that Flagg hasn't had maybe the sterling start to his rookie season that maybe some people expected. I don't know. But I think he deserves a long runway.
He's been awesome, though. Like,
no,
yes,
I know.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. There's, like, certain struggles, but he's playing, like, out of position.
Yes.
As, one of the youngest, like, rookies who are putting up his production ever, obviously kind of toxic situation that hopefully gets sorted out given the circumstances of recent news in that franchise.
Right.
And, like, if you were going to put him in a position where he's got to be your number one scorer on night-to-night basis as a rookie who's so young, he's going to be maybe not as efficient as you want him to be. But just watching him, you're like, oh,
yes,
he's going to figure it out. Like,
yes,
he's going to be a guy who's making these shots consistently because he's getting to them seamlessly. Right. It's just going to be about getting reps and then putting a team that actually makes sense around him, which, I don't think they're too far off from doing. And if they move on, obviously Kyrie is going to probably be out for the year, or at least if he sticks with the Mavericks. Anthony Davis is hurt, so they're struggling. The idea of surrounding Cooper Flagg potentially with a Darryn Peterson, with a Cam Boozer, with an AJ Dybantsa, with a Caleb Wilson for the future is also really exciting if you're a Mavericks fan. So it's like you can be upset about things that have transpired. You can wonder what the future is going to hold, but you have one of the best prospects we've come across in a while in Cooper that you miraculously landed, and you're going to have something good probably coming down the pike if things keep going in this direction. So, you know,
Yeah,
they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, once they stop, I mean, yeah, they asked him to play point guard. What are we talking about? And obviously, with everything going on with that team, a tough one. Last one I want to hit on Ace Bailey. In his last 4 games, Corey, he's averaging 15.8 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 1.5 steals per game. In those last 4 games, he's 10 for 22 from 3. And I just wanted to highlight it because Ace, like I like this simplified role that they have him playing in.
Yeah.
A lot of spot ups, nice little cuts in the lane, not asking him to do too much, and like as his minutes become more consistent and all that stuff, I think he could make like a late surge up the rookie, whatever. What's Nathan's thing?
The ladder.
Rookie ladder, right?
Yes.
He may go up that rookie ladder by the end of the season and have like a very strong season. But I just wanted to highlight his last 4 games because he looks like he's kind of hitting his groove and he's starting to play more comfortable and like he's just doing what he's being asked to do. And so I'm excited to see more. So I wanted to hit that too.
Ace is good. He was contentious last year. He's contentious as a rookie this year. I mean, like you said, he's been on a heater over the last 4, even the last 5. He played well. He looked really good in the preseason, right? Then he had like a little thing where he missed some time, had some rookie adjustments at the very early part. But man, we've seen him like in practices. We've seen him in games. Like we knew what his strengths were. We knew what his weaknesses were. And Will Hardy is such a great coach for Ace because he also knows these things and he's going to put Ace in the best position to succeed. And ultimately that's also going to help Ace get opportunities to develop the stuff that turns him into that Paul George kind of guy that people want him to ultimately be. But as long as he's making like sharp, quick decisions, he's going to continue to get minutes, opportunities to flourish, and he's going to do it while learning how to play the right way. This is not a situation where we've seen with teams where there's no structure and guys learn bad habits. Like Ace is going to learn good from bad when it comes to those shots, habits, etc. So, he couldn't have ended up in a better place. I know it wasn't initially the place he wanted to end up in, but I think it was the best spot for him to end up in.
No, I agree. Corey. And I've been happy with what I've been seeing from him recently. So I'm just getting excited. Yeah.
Yeah. And, while we're on Utah, Keontae George he's taken a little step. Not a rookie. Breaking out of the segment, just want to call it out. He was a guy we liked for a while. I know it's been, up and down as a pro, but he looks like he's taken another step forward this year and he's not even hitting threes yet. So when that does, I think Utah's got some pieces. They're going to be really fun. But guys, great episode, great times had by all today, talking hoops, little NBA draft, closing it out with the NBA at the end. Thank everybody for watching, listening. We love you all. We will be back next week. We appreciate you. Lock in. No ceilings NBA. Till next time, we're out. Peace.
Peace.